scream out in the middle of the night and make a statement about that. And They Live is partially a political statement, it's partially. It seemed to me that They Live needed a kind of working guy.
Before John Carpenter created cinema's most subversive political thriller,
You know, you look like your head fell on the cheese dip back in 1957.
They Live was dismissed as just another B-movie by critics who missed its revolutionary critique of capitalism and media manipulation. The cast has finally revealed secrets that will transform your understanding of this prophetic masterpiece about hidden control.
The thing I remember about the fight in They Live is that the first script I got.
The film that almost never opened our eyes. What most fans don't realize is that They Live was rejected by every major studio because executives couldn't understand how a movie about subliminal advertising and alien mind control could work as commercial entertainment. Hollywood was terrified of John Carpenter's anti-capitalist message disguised as science fiction horror, especially during the Reagan-era celebration of corporate culture. Roddy Piper revealed years later that even he questioned whether audiences would accept a professional wrestler as an action hero fighting invisible aliens.
I ended up getting with John, and he would sit with me for hours and ask me questions
John saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. The ability to portray working-class anger and frustration authentically. Nada wasn't just fighting aliens. He was fighting a system that kept ordinary people powerless and invisible. The casting challenged Hollywood's typical hero archetypes. Keith David disclosed that the film's political themes were deliberately disguised within genre conventions to avoid studio interference.
I think the movie was fashioned after the Quiet Man.
John knew that if he presented the story as straight political commentary, it would never get made. But wrapped in science fiction and action movie elements, he could smuggle revolutionary ideas into mainstream theaters without censorship. Meg Foster noted how the film's low budget forced creative solutions that enhanced rather than limited its satirical power. We couldn't afford elaborate alien designs or spectacular effects, so John focused on ideas and social commentary. The limitations made the message more important than the spectacle. The constraints elevated substance over style. The sunglasses that revealed everything. The special sunglasses weren't just science fiction gadgets. They were John Carpenter's metaphor for class consciousness and political awakening.
Take a look. If you want me to look through your sunglasses, I'll look through your sunglasses.
That allows people to see through the propaganda and manipulation that keep society functioning for the benefit of those in power while exploiting everyone else. The decision to use simple Hoffman safety glasses rather than elaborate futuristic eyewear was crucial to the film's working-class authenticity and political message. The glasses had to look like something a construction worker might actually wear, disclosed Roddy Piper. They couldn't be fancy or high-tech because the film was about ordinary people discovering hidden truths about their exploitation. The binary black and white vision through the glasses represented simplified political awareness, where hidden messages and true power structures become visible but undeniable. When you put on the glasses, you can't unsee what they reveal, noted Keith David. The stark contrast shows how political awakening changes everything about how you understand society and your place in it. The glasses' ability to reveal both subliminal messages and alien controllers demonstrated how political and economic manipulation often work together through media control and consumer culture. The advertising messages and the alien faces were the same system of control operating on different levels, revealed production designers. Consumer manipulation and political oppression were shown as connected aspects of the same authoritarian structure. The device became a tool for revolutionary consciousness rather than mere plot convenience. Nada's working-class hero journey, Roddy Piper's Nada, wasn't just another action hero. He was John Carpenter's representation of how economic desperation and social invisibility could transform ordinary working people into revolutionary figures when they finally understand the systems that exploit their labor and manipulate their consciousness. Piper disclosed his approach to playing a character who embodied authentic working-class experience. Nada represents every construction worker, drifter, and unemployed person who feels like society doesn't see them as human beings. His invisibility to the power structure makes him the perfect person to fight back once he understands what's really happening. The character's economic marginalization became his revolutionary strength. The famous, "I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass" line wasn't scripted.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
It was Piper's improvisation that perfectly captured the character's combination of humor and determination. That line came from my wrestling background, where you had to be tough and entertaining at the same time, Piper revealed. Nada's humor keeps him sane while fighting an impossible battle against overwhelming odds. The character's progression from passive victim to active resistance fighter represented how political awakening transforms individual consciousness into collective action. The aliens that weren't really aliens. The extraterrestrial invaders weren't traditional science fiction monsters. They were John Carpenter's satirical representation of the ruling class.
Come to show them where I am. Not nice.
Corporate executives and political elites who exploit working people while remaining hidden behind wealth, privilege, and media manipulation that makes their true nature invisible to ordinary citizens. The aliens' skeletal, decaying appearance when seen through the glasses represented how the ruling class appears when stripped of their artificial glamour and media presentation. The aliens look like death because their system is literally killing the planet and the people, disclosed makeup designer Frank Carasosa. Their true form shows what unchecked capitalism and exploitation actually look like beneath the surface. The aliens' human disguises weren't just camouflage. They were commentary on how wealth and power allow the ruling class to appear normal and acceptable while pursuing policies that harm everyone else. The perfect human appearance represents how money and media can make anyone seem legitimate, noted Keith David. The aliens' casual indifference to human suffering reflected Carpenter's view of how economic elites treat working people as expendable resources rather than fellow human beings. The aliens don't hate humans, they just don't care about them, revealed production team members. That indifference is more frightening than active malevolence because it shows systematic rather than personal evil. The creatures embodied institutional rather than individual villainy. The media messages, hidden in plain sight. The subliminal messages revealed through the special glasses weren't just science fiction concepts. They were John Carpenter's exaggerated version of actual advertising and propaganda techniques that influence behavior and maintain social control through constant repetition of messages that benefit those in power. The obey, consume, and stay asleep messages represented simplified versions of actual advertising psychology and political propaganda that encourage conformity and consumption. Every advertisement tells people what to want, how to behave, and what to value, disclosed production designers. We just made those messages visible and explicit, rather than hidden and subtle. The money revealing, "This is your God," when seen through the glasses, represented how capitalism has replaced traditional religion with material worship and economic competition. Money becomes the ultimate value that determines everything else, noted Roddy Piper. The film shows how economic systems can function like religious institutions that demand faith and obedience. The media's role in transmitting these messages demonstrated how television, newspapers, and advertising work together to maintain social control through information manipulation. The media isn't neutral. It serves the interests of those who own and control it, revealed cast members. The fight scene that became legendary, the extended alley brawl between Nada and Frank, wasn't just action sequence. It was John Carpenter's metaphor for how difficult it is to convince people to see uncomfortable truths about systems they depend on for survival.
Fight scene that is just one of the most amazing street fights ever immortalized on film.
The glasses on.
Even when those systems exploit and oppress them daily. Keith David revealed the scene's deeper meaning beyond spectacular fight choreography. Frank doesn't want to put on the glasses because seeing the truth would force him to act, and action might cost him his job, his security, his place in the system. The fight represents every argument between people who want to wake up and those who prefer comfortable illusions. The violence became political allegory. The scene's extended length was deliberately excessive to emphasize how much resistance people have to changing their worldview. The fight goes on forever because convincing someone to see political reality is incredibly difficult and often violent, noted Roddy Piper. People will literally fight to maintain their illusions rather than face uncomfortable truths about their situation. The scene's combination of brutal realism and dark humor reflected Carpenter's approach to political awakening as both necessary and traumatic. Waking up to political reality isn't gentle or easy. It's often painful and disorienting, disclosed production team members. The fight became one of cinema's most memorable metaphors for ideological conflict and resistance to consciousness raising. The underground resistance that mirrors reality. The secret network of awakened humans wasn't just plot convenience.
Now, most of the cops are human. They've been told that we're commies trying to bring down the government. And some of them are being recruited.
It was John Carpenter's representation of how political resistance movements form when people discover they share common experiences of exploitation and begin organizing collective action against systems that seem too powerful to challenge individually. The resistance's diverse membership reflected real social justice movements that bring together people from different backgrounds who recognize their shared interests against common oppressors. The underground includes construction workers, scientists, activists, and ordinary citizens who've all discovered the same hidden truth, disclosed Keith David. The diversity shows how class consciousness can unite people across other social divisions. The group's use of radio broadcasts and underground networks anticipated how alternative media and grassroots organizing would become crucial for political resistance in the internet age. The Reagan-era critique, hidden in science fiction. They Live's political satire wasn't just general anti-establishment sentiment. It was specific critique of 1980s Reagan-era policies that prioritized corporate profits over working people while using media manipulation and patriotic rhetoric to maintain public support for economic policies that increased inequality and reduced social services. The film's emphasis on homelessness and unemployment directly addressed Reagan administration policies that reduced social spending while claiming economic prosperity. The tent city and unemployment lines showed the human cost of trickle-down economics, disclosed Roddy Piper. NADA represents people who were abandoned by the system that claimed to be making everyone rich. The aliens' corporate boardroom meetings paralleled actual business practices during the merger and acquisition boom that characterized 1980s capitalism. The film showed how corporate decision-making treats human beings as expendable resources, noted Keith David. The ending that offered hope and warning. They Live's conclusion, where Nada's sacrifice destroys the signal that maintains the aliens' disguise, represented both revolutionary victory and acknowledgement that awakening consciousness is only the first step in creating lasting social change rather than permanent solution to systematic oppression and exploitation. The film's final shot of people seeing the aliens' true faces for the first time suggested that mass political awakening was possible, but didn't guarantee successful resistance or social transformation. Seeing the truth is necessary but not sufficient for creating change, disclosed Keith David. The ending shows the beginning of possible revolution rather than its completion or victory. Nada's death while destroying the transmission tower represented the personal cost of revolutionary action and the sacrifice required to create opportunities for mass consciousness raising. Nada gives his life to give everyone else the chance to see clearly, noted Roddy Piper. But whether they'll act on that knowledge is still an open question. Watch the film again with appreciation for its prescient political critique, its influence on conspiracy and resistance narratives, and its sophisticated use of science fiction elements to explore real social and economic issues. Notice how every alien encounter and fight scene serves the larger themes about class consciousness and political awakening. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into cinema's most politically subversive achievements. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads, and let us know in the comments whether you think the aliens are still among us. Put on the glasses.